Welcome everyone to another installment of the Most Potato Podcast. I was speaking a mantra saying we're going to get 1 billion views on this video, so now it's up to you guys to get us there. Otherwise, I'm lying to Jess, and I can't lie to her. I can't. Please, help us get there.
I already know the truth. It's okay. Thank you for the viewers that we do have, yes.
Anyways, enough of my foolishness. Today, we will be discussing The Crow, but we're not going to just discuss The Crow. We're also going to do a twofer for you guys. Once again, we're going to do The Crow, and we're also going to discuss It Ends With Us, because the car ride back home from The Crow was very, very quiet. I can't remember the last time me and Jess walked away from a movie with very little to say.
Yeah.
So we figured let's do a twofer. And you know what? This works thematically because The Crow and It Ends With Us are both, at their core, they're love and heartbreak type stories. And they're also adaptations of books. So see, I had this planned all along.
Yeah.
Thematically, this works.
I'm glad you said that because I wasn't sure what to tell you guys. I'm just like, we went to see The Crow. The car ride was quiet. We decided let's watch another movie and give you guys a little bit more than just...
Some more meat.
Yeah.
Some more meat in this empanada.
Yeah.
So The Crow is directed by Rupert Sanders, and it is based on the original comic book by the same name, by James O'Barr. And for those uninitiated with the plot, basically we follow soulmates Eric Draven and Shelley Webster, who are brutally murdered when their demons of their past catch up with them. When Eric is revived by the power of the Crow, he is given a chance for bloody vengeance and to put the wrong things right. Full disclosure, guys, me and Jess, we're not fans of like the Crow per se. We've never read the comics, and we just watched the 1994 version.
Yeah.
Just a couple days ago for the first time.
Yeah, we were curious. At least I was curious about... The only reason why I wanted to see this adaptation of The Crow was because of Bill Skarsgård.
It's her thirst, guys. Her thirst is what got us into this mess.
My thirst drives us, yes.
No, but he looked great.
That's the only reason why I want to see it. But then I was just like, I have no idea what this is actually supposed to be about. So I was like, let me see what the first one was about.
Yeah.
And I wasn't impressed either.
You're pissing off the fandom, Jess. Come on.
It's like, it's not... I don't know if it... Maybe I would read the comic. I don't know if maybe that's better than any of the adaptations that you guys got. But I didn't see like...
What was amazing about it?
What was amazing about it? I'm like, maybe reading it would be more entertaining. Maybe I'd get a little bit more out of it. And I want... It's not because it's like a 90s movie, but there was just something like silly and that I couldn't take away from the first one. Yeah. And then when I was thinking, I'm like, do I really want to... Like, after a while, I was like, do I really want to
watch this new one?
Watch the new one? I'm just like, I like Bill Skarsgård, but that's not enough. But we went, and...
It was a time.
It
was a time.
I don't know. It's like time froze, and I don't know, like we lost time, but it was frozen, and then I was just like, what did we do? And that's the thing.
Yeah.
Going to see this movie, it wasn't good and it wasn't bad. And I think when you say the car ride was quiet, it really was. And I just kept saying to Alvin, I was just like, this isn't good. Because I'm just like, we don't have it, or I don't have anything to say.
Even I said, I don't know how we're going to do this episode if we just do The Crow.
Yeah.
It'll be very short.
Exactly. So, I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, when I first got exposed to like the marketing, I was kind of into it. I wanted to give this movie a chance. I really like the idea of doing a gothic sort of vigilante anti-hero sort of movie, because I feel like we just get a lot of the same big properties. And after watching the original Crow, I was like, I'm a little more intrigued, because I think I liked the 1994 Crow just a little bit more than you. I think I enjoyed it a little bit more. Granted, I still have a lot of the same problems. I feel like it was just a little too thin of a story, but I still enjoyed it. And again, I didn't love the 1994 Crow. I just thought it's a kind of a fun time, and it's mostly just vibes more than it is story.
That is very true.
Like, I think that's like the best way I can describe it, and that's kind of what this Crow is too. They decided to beef up the lore a bit, but then also not really explain what the lore is. It's like watching Jujutsu Kaisen. You don't understand how the powers work. And I'm sorry.
Let's not get into that one.
I know, I just opened a whole can of worms. Yes. But yeah, this time around, it basically tries to delve in more into his powers, how they work, and then there's like a supernatural villain that wasn't present in the first movie, and I have no idea if the comic has like a supervillain. I don't think it does. Because fun fact, well, not so fun, but interesting fact, James O'Barr, the author of the comic, he actually wrote this comic as a way to express his pain after losing his girlfriend or like his fiance in a hit and run with a drunk person, and he just had so much rage and pain that he just wanted to put that on the page. And I can admire that, and the fact that he was able to get some sort of success out of the comic I thought was great. But I don't know, this movie adaptation, it's just so, it's still so thin. But it's longer. It beefs up the runtime. It spends so much time with like the couple before the ultimate murder happens.
Yeah.
And I appreciate the attempt, but I ultimately didn't find myself really caring about the relationship all that much.
Definitely an attempt.
Yeah.
I don't know. It was cute. Like, they were cute.
They had the two leads, Bill Skarsgård and FKA Twigs. They do have chemistry together.
You feel like they do?
For the most part, but it's all coming down to the writing. They just it was too much meandering with each other instead of just getting to the main points of what makes their relationship special.
Yeah.
Because they just randomly meet in a like a rehab facility, and then they quickly just go off from there. And I feel like they don't utilize the time enough to really make us care about this couple.
Yeah, I didn't feel like the chemistry was like too, like, I don't think it was there really.
I mean, she's not a good actress. Like, I gotta say, she's only decent when she's acting off of Bill. When she's acting by herself early on in the movie, when she's running away from the bad guys, her acting was very, very wooden.
Yeah.
And it's just like, I mean, I don't know what else to expect. She's a singer. She's not a trained actress.
I like her. I just feel like there wasn't much chemistry between the two, but there were definitely like cute moments. They looked like a cute couple. That's like literally
that's as far as it goes for me.
Yeah, I was just like, oh, they're so cute. She's so cute, and I just want to like take her and put her in my pocket and like take her everywhere with me because she's so tiny, and like I just was like, they're cute.
Yeah.
And it was funny because there was like this line between like this dialogue where they were just like, oh, do you think angsty teens are gonna like write about us or whatever?
Yeah.
There was like a moment like that, and I was just like, no, I don't think
really.
they will. No. Respectfully, no.
Yeah.
I couldn't really care that this character was supposed to like be so in love with her that he comes back for revenge. I didn't care about any of that. I think I was just like, oh, I can't wait for the cool like killing scenes.
Yeah. That's how I felt.
That's it. But everything else around that, I was, I don't
so
know.
indifferent.
Like, did I really just sit here for 2 hours and I felt nothing?
Yeah.
I didn't feel like it was good. I didn't feel like it was bad. I just felt nothing.
So what do you think? Is it worse to be a bad movie that it's so bad that it's actually funny and entertaining, or just so bad that it's just boring?
It really depends. Because like this was bad, boring, and it wasn't bad where I can trash it or pick at everything.
Yeah, and be entertained.
And be entertained. So I guess maybe like bad but still entertained is
better.
Better. Because you brought up Madam Web and Morbius, and I can honestly say that those were better movies than this movie.
That is crazy. I have to disagree.
Because,
but fair. That's your opinion.
They were bad. But entertaining. I don't know. I guess it was just like being able to roast it while like noting that it was actually like they're really bad.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go with that. But
wow.
I really feel like I am lost on this one. Like I have no words for it because it wasn't bad, but it wasn't good. I don't know what you call that. Someone help me.
Feels like emotional purgatory. You're just waiting for a feeling or something, and it's not coming. And that might be worse than being like, this is so bad, but it's making me laugh because it's funny.
It's not. I don't know. It's like I was constantly waiting for something. Things happened in the movie. I think I was waiting to feel something.
Yeah.
And I never did.
Yeah.
I don't know. Is that what they were? Because if that's what they wanted to happen, then
you achieved
it. Then this is a great movie.
Yeah.
But I felt nothing. And it was just a little disappointing when I think back on it. I don't know.
Yeah. I feel the same, but I feel more lenient on this movie for some reason because it's at least more competent than what I've seen in something like a Morbius or Madam Web or any other terrible movie. because I could see that they really tried with this movie. I mean, they've been trying to get this thing off the ground since like 2008.
Yeah, I heard.
At one point, there was so many different actors attached to this. I laughed when I saw that Mark Wahlberg was attached at one point. It's like, can you imagine? Did you murder Shelley? You murdered my wife? What the fuck?
Stop! I can't stand him.
So like they've been trying to get this off the ground. I can tell they were really trying. They really were taking this story seriously, but I felt like it got to the point where they took it too seriously. They forgot to have fun with it. Because the one thing I will give the original movie is they let the character explore all his different feelings. He feels like grief, remorse, anger, but he also has fun with his abilities. Like he messes with the people that wronged him.
Yeah.
And we don't get much of that diverse personality in this new adaptation of The Crow. And I feel like that was missing too. Like, I get it. This guy's gone through some shit, but he can't constantly be this very stoic person and not show glimpses of his other personality. I felt like there were just little bits of moments where I'm like, you almost got that shit. And then you just quickly went to being flat emotionally. So I felt the same way as you. I felt very flat and indifferent to a lot of things that were happening. But I could see that there's competent filmmaking going on with like the action scenes, the way that it visually looks. It looks nice. It's not as gothic and grimy and dirty as the original, but it visually still looked pleasing.
Yes,
and
Bill looks pleasing. Yes.
Yeah, and I actually like the design of Bill Skarsgård's Crow. Like, there was a lot of like shit talking when the trailers and the photos first dropped.
Why? What?
The hardcore fans were really just shitting on it, comparing it to like Jared Leto's Joker. And I'm just like, I guess, but like this is just a look. Like at the end of the day, he still looks like this gothic guy that is very much like in the same aesthetic as The Crow. It may not be the exact same, but then why would you want it to look the exact same anyways?
Then you would complain about that.
Yeah, so it's like you really can't win.
I thought he looked cool.
But again, it's also like I'm like not a big fan of the property to begin with. So I feel like I don't take it as hard as people who really love this property.
Yeah, I feel like the Brendan Lee one, there was definitely trauma at him having been killed. Like him basically digging himself out of his grave.
Like they executed that really well.
Yeah, with this Eric and Shelley, like they died next to each other, like watching each other, and after he basically wakes up from getting the revenge, or he doesn't wake up from, Shelley wakes up from getting the revenge, it was like a bad dream.
Yeah.
And like it's like none of that happened, but it did happen,
which is really bizarre.
Which is
it makes no sense.
I don't know how I felt about that, but I just chose to ignore that. But I just think there wasn't any real trauma, and I don't want it to be like trauma should drive him to be like a better character. But the way that Brandon Lee's Crow came back, it was, I don't know what his character was like before. Like they had like little flashbacks of him and Shelley, but it just showed that they were like so in love and so passionate. Yeah. And they were together, and we didn't get like their whole backstory the way we got this version story. But I just felt like there was something a little manic and like playful and just more emotional about Brandon Lee's Crow than Bill's Crow. And you're right. There were moments where he was like almost there, and then he just went back to being like flat. And
it's not his fault. It's all in the writing, because they don't have supporting characters to help tie you into this world and these characters, which the original movie did have. There was a little girl and then the cop. Yeah. So there's like still attachments that keep the Crow from like being this complete maniac. Like you still see his humanity. Here, it's just like, it's just a very generic, standard, run-of-the-mill revenge plot that I feel like we've seen a billion times before. Yeah. And for me, it's really hard to get into revenge stories, because, not just because of the whole philosophy of, like, does revenge really make you feel good, but it's like, there's so many stories that have done it better, and there's so many of them that have done it very generically, that this fits into, like, the pile of generic revenge stories. And I wish they just fleshed that out a little bit more. I feel like once they started explaining the ability of the Crow, I feel like they might have had something, because the Crow is fueled by like his pure love for Shelley. I feel like they could have done something interesting there with that theme of revenge, and then it just doesn't go anywhere. They put in lore to not explain the lore, and it's really frustrating. Like they go out of their way to explain like, oh, you know, the Crow picks people that have really died horribly to give them a chance at revenge. But it's just like, well, Shelley died really horribly, just as equally as Eric. Why did Eric get chosen of all people? Like, once it starts explaining stuff about how the crow works, you just come away with more questions. And they go out of their way to have more world building with this Kronos character. And I'm just like, first of all, I don't think he ever once introduces himself as Kronos. I had to Google that shit after the facts. I'm like, who is this old guy that is in this weird time portal with full of ravens and shit, or crows? And then, like, he tries to explain the powers, and it just leaves me more confused. I'm like, why are we doing this explanation thing? Like, that is something I'll give the original 94 version. It just doesn't explain it. It's just like this one little quote that the girl reads off to the audience saying, oh, like, if you die horribly enough, the crow will come and resurrect your spirit so you can right your wrongs.
Yeah.
And then just leave it at that. And then it goes straight to the point of the story. Here, it builds so much time with two characters that we don't really fall in love with. It spends so much time explaining the world that just leaves you more confused. And it just made you not care about what was going on.
Yeah.
Because it all was just nonsensical. I feel like you can make up your own lore in your own head at this point. And then there's like a villain that I feel like wasn't necessary either. Again, going back to the reason why the author made this comic, he was so angry, not just at the person that killed his loved one, but just at the randomness of it, that it just happened out of nowhere.
Yeah.
I didn't see the need for a supernatural villain that makes deals with the devil and can whisper in your ear and tell you to do stuff.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know, how did you like or not like the villain?
How did you like it? Like, I didn't care. I wish we had more of an explanation for who he is, where he come from.
You literally don't know who the fuck this guy is.
Because I feel like, I'm like, was he a human? Was he a regular human before? Is he a demon? Like, what is his origin? And why do we care about him? And
what is he doing with these young adults?
I was just like, how did they get away from Vincent?
Yeah, that's another thing. The whole plot is so convoluted. It's like this weird underworld thing that they just don't fully explain. And then this scenario with Vincent making Shelley kill somebody, and somebody's able to record that shit. I don't know how he wasn't able to stop the person from recording and control the whole room.
Because he has people everywhere.
Yeah.
And like, I couldn't understand that.
And I'm just like, what? Why is this the plot?
How long have they been running from him? I don't think it's been that long, but I was just like, how did you let these people get away from you? And why did you do this in front of so many people without whispering in everybody's ear? It made no sense. The
whole problem of the movie, like the main conflict, made no fucking sense.
And I was kind of annoyed with the Shelley character for bringing Eric into this, technically. Because he's just sitting there locked up in his little cage, like, you know, scratching away at paper and stuff. And I just felt like she wasn't honest, and I didn't like the, oh yeah, if I'm ever hard to love me harder type of thing. And I'm just like, can you at least tell him what he's trying to love harder? And because later on in the film, when he sees the video for himself, and then he has this doubt, I'm just like, how are you the crow, and it's all about your love, gives you the opportunity to come back and have revenge, and you're doubting her. I didn't like any of it. And then when they like backtracked on that, and he's just like, oh no, I'm just gonna give you my soul and bring her back. Again,
they don't explain the lore. He's just able to like conjure up deals where he could just like, no, I want to keep this power, so I'll give you my soul to go to hell and bring her back to life.
I wish
when was this
better explained the Vincent situation?
Yeah, because he doesn't explain much.
He's just like, oh, this person shouldn't be, doing this. So you get your revenge and kill everybody. It's just like he just happened to be the perfect person who happened to be tied up with this guy who is trading innocent souls and corrupting them so he can stay alive longer. I don't know.
This plot is super messy, and it makes you not care about what's going on.
All the time they use showing Shelley and Eric's love and random scenes that nobody gave a shit about. They could have like explained Vincent. They could have explained hell. They could have explained Kronos. They could have explained the fucking crow. I don't know.
Or they could have just not explained shit and just let us go into the story. It already worked once before. We don't need to really get a whole the whole point is this guy has fucking powers now. He gets to get his revenge. Let's see how he does it. It's really not that deep and not that complicated and complex of a story. I think
feel like the powers should have gave him like some better reflexes, because
Yeah, this version of the Crow, he gets hit a lot, and it's just
and it was kind of annoying for me. I don't know why, but I was just like,
it took too long for him to get used to his ability and being able to actually fight back.
Yeah.
And like just him getting hit with bullets, it would make him take forever to recover at some point. And he doesn't become like the full-on Crow until after he makes the deal to give up his soul to hell. That's where he can finally like take bullets to the head better and fight better. And then finally get the makeup too. It's like 2 hours into the movie, and then he finally gets the makeup on his face.
Yeah.
And I was just like, at this point, I don't really care. And it sucks because there's really great action scenes at the very end at the opera. I thought that whole shootout scene was great. It was filmed amazingly. But at that point, I'm just like, I wish the whole movie was like this. You could have just started off right off the bat doing that stuff.
The people he was after, they could have like spread them out between scenes. Like he's gonna find this person in this location, like in the first movie. So that way we could get more of that. But it all just happened so quickly, and it was a bunch of people who, yes, they're security or like they're like somehow involved with Vincent or whatever. They work for him, but it just like it wasn't satisfying. Like in the first movie, it was satisfying to see him find each person that was there that night. Him and Shelley were murdered, and to get his revenge. This one didn't feel like that at all.
It was because it lacked the focus of the first movie.
Just like, you're just killing assistants, and like no offense to assistants, but like
some of those could have just been regular employees. I don't know.
Yeah, that's what it exactly. So I was like, okay, and then
so it makes it feel less personal and
Vincent
less impactful.
Wasn't there.
He goes back home, brushes his hair.
Yeah, that's where we find him brushing his hair.
And then their fight was so anticlimactic. It ends in like 5 minutes because they spent a bulk of the movie not spending time with the Crow. Like almost like I feel like 35 minutes was spent to like the relationship before they both die. So like there's just like almost no time with the final boss battle.
There was none. Yeah,
and it's just like okay.
He breaks out of the whisper trance
and takes him to the Crow world.
And then he's just like, yeah, I got you. And then these
and now you go to hell.
Take him, and I was just like, that's it.
I was like, wow.
Wow.
Okay.
Yeah.
That was easy. That was great.
Shelley
and then Shelley comes back, and then this is like the part that really confused me is like this ending made no sense. So he succeeds in killing the bad guy Vincent. Now he has to give up the Crow power, kind of, because Shelley has to come back, so that means he has to like permanently die.
Yeah.
But it's like we don't see him going to hell. We see her, Shelley, come back to life. Back at the apartment, right next to Eric's body. Mind you, all this has happened after a funeral. Shelley was buried. I was gonna
bring up the funeral.
Shelley was already buried. She's in the ground. For some reason, when she comes back to life, we're taking back to the time where they were just like right when they were just murdered at the apartment, and she comes back to life in that scene. And I'm just like, hold the fucking phone. So is there multiverse in this shit? Is there time travel? Because what?
Yes, I was just like,
it made no type of sense.
This doesn't make any sense, and now I'm annoyed.
Yeah, and then you see Eric is still in the Raven, or I keep saying Raven, the Crow world.
Crow world, whatever. Doesn't matter.
He's walking around talking about like, oh yeah, like me and Shelley's love will live on in all kinds of ways, and he's just like, well, I'm confused. Are you the new Kronos that just hangs out in this world, or are you gonna go to hell? Because that was the deal. And then we just never see that. Yeah. So there's time travel, multiverse type shit going on, and
broken promises.
And broken promises, broken dreams. And he's just stuck in like the Crow world, I guess. I don't know. They just, again, that's like the most frustrating thing about this movie is I see that it tried. I see that it tried, but it also was just like, you forgot the most important shit, which is to make sense of the story. Like, I don't get it. How did you fall this flat? And I'm just like, I was rooting for you, Crow. I was really rooting for you. Again, going back to the fandom, I think I've been hearing a lot of ridiculous fucking takes on this movie where people were just straight up saying like, oh, you should never touch the Crow. Brandon Lee sacrificed himself to do this movie. You should never do the Crow movie. And I'm just like...
Aren't there like 7?
Yes.
I don't know. So what's one more?
And also, as much as I respect Brandon Lee's performance in that, I thought he was fantastic in the role. He does not own the fucking role. Like, I'm sorry, nobody owns roles. Like, these are IPs, all right? At the end of the day, they're based on comic books, shows, whatever. These properties are bigger than any one individual person can contribute to. It's the same discussions that I've been in debates with about T'Challa being recast for Black Panther.
They should have done that.
I honestly think that could have worked just fine. And again, no actor owns a role. Like, yes, they can embody the role, and you can feel like nobody could ever replace them. But guess what? At the end of the day, it's Hollywood. It's a business. They're gonna be replaced. Hugh Jackman's gonna be gone. Like, we're gonna have a new Wolverine way before Hugh Jackman is dead. Yes, accept it. No. So this whole argument with like, oh, don't do the Crow because Brandon Lee died and we can't have him be disrespected. It's the stupidest fucking argument I've ever heard.
It was a terrible accident, but that's not. Yeah, anybody saying that's just, come on.
Yeah.
Don't be stupid.
Yeah, like, I don't care who says it. I don't care if even the original author feels that way. It's a stupid fucking take because people felt the same way about Heath Ledger and the Joker, and they just felt like, oh, he could never be replaced. And then people were hating on like the new movie. I'm just like, you don't even know what kind of Joker we're getting, and then now you have a new favorite Joker. So
it's annoying. People are annoying. I guess that's what it comes down to.
I feel like people just confuse their attachment to the actor with just don't do a bad script, because that's what I agree with. Don't do this movie if you have a half-baked script. That's what it comes down to, because if the story was written better, you guys would not be feeling the same way. You'd be loving Bill Skarsgård if the story was actually stronger and either as good as or maybe even better than the original 94 version. So I had to get that out there, because I hate hearing stupid ass takes from fandoms, and I do this on myself sometimes too, and I catch myself when I can, but it just makes no sense to be like, don't do a project because somebody died.
Yeah,
that doesn't make sense. The person doesn't own that property. It's something to be shared with the world. It's stupid, and
that's a risk for any actor, regardless of how they're passed away. I just feel like they're going to replace people. You want them to stop altogether, reboot altogether.
So you're not going to get any more movies at this rate with your argument. You just won't have movies. Or shows. It's just this vicious attachment that they have. It's like, guys, you don't know this person for real.
It's not healthy. Like,
it's not.
Seek help,
please. But yeah, this movie was. I couldn't even call it a wet fart of a movie, because a wet fart elicits more emotion. There's more at stake than this movie. So I don't know. I feel like I can go right into ratings if you want to go into ratings.
What are you rating it?
I've gone back and forth in my head a lot about this. I think I'm going to give it a very strong salty spud.
Okay.
Almost baked potato, but it's just like, you bored me, and that's not what a movie should do. It's not the pile of dog shit that a lot of people are making it out to be online. I'm actually seeing more audiences are liking it more than critics, which is not surprising. So that's good at least. But yeah, this was... I don't know, man. You could eat this, but you're not going to get much out of it. You might even come away with a sour taste, since if you're a hardcore fan of this thing. It's a sour... I mean, not a sour. It's a salty spud.
Yeah. It's a salty spud for me, too. I won't give it a rotten...
I don't think it's a rotten potato.
Rotten potato, because it's just... It's not bad. It's not good. It could have been better. It's disappointing. But I guess I'm not like a Crow fan, so I'm just like indifferent. It's always nice when there's a movie, a franchise, or a fandom, and you're not a part of it, but there's like a new adaptation, and you can watch it and you can feel like, oh wow, I'm going to go back and watch everything. I want to dive into this. Like, this is, how did I not get into this before? Like, you pulled in more fans. Like, when I went to go see the Ghostbuster movie, not the recent one, but the one that came back.
It's like Afterlife or some shit.
I never watched that was big.
And that was your Ghostbuster movie.
Yeah. I'm like emotionally invested in this movie. I want to go back and watch, the old ones and see what it's all about. But this one didn't pull me in, unfortunately. It just,
All right, that's 2 salty spuds from us. Guys, don't watch this movie, especially if you're not a hardcore fan.
Yeah.
I'm sure you've already decided you don't want to watch this, but it's not nearly the dumpster fire that a lot of people are making it out to be.
I would just wait for streaming.
That's my sentiment. All right, moving on to It Ends With Us, starring Justin Baldoni, Blake Lively, Jenny Slate, Brendan Sklenar, and so many other people. But I think this is like the main cast we focus on.
Yeah.
Yeah. And directed by Justin Baldoni as well, which I don't know if this is his first time directing or what, but I was impressed with what he did with this movie. And this one is also based on a book. This is based on a novel that's apparently super huge. And it's actually like blowing up on TikTok in like the last year or so.
TikTok.
Yeah. So, and this book is written by Colleen Hoover, who I think has like a sequel too called It Starts With Us. And I don't know what that one's about.
Oh, God.
That sounds like a prequel.
We don't need to see that one.
And for this story, we follow Lily Bloom, who moves to Boston to follow her dream of opening up her own flower shop business. When she meets and falls in love with a charming man named Ryle, Lily soon learns of Ryle's darker side, especially when her first love gets involved. When we first wanted to see this movie, first of all, we wanted to see this like a week ago or two, and
I wanted to see it. You were like, what the fuck is that?
I didn't say that. I did not say that. I was like, wait, what is this? I just kept forgetting what it was.
Yeah.
I didn't see much marketing until I started seeing all like the Blake Lively nonsense on social media.
So
that's when it caught like attention.
Yeah, I put it on our list of things to watch, and
I'm glad we watched it.
When The Crow disappointed, and
we were just like, well, we hear that this movie's good, so let's go to this one.
We hear that the controversy surrounding it is good, so I was like, let's go see it.
Yeah, and I don't know the full story of the controversy, but I've been seeing more evidence that Blake Lively's been apparently mean to like interviewers and shit. So I'm surprised it didn't derail the promotion. If anything, I think it heightened the promotion of the movie.
Yeah.
Because it was really bizarre. When she goes on these promotional tours, she never once brings up the fact that this is a story that deals with domestic abuse. It's not like this feel-good rom-com story. So we had to go watch this one. We were very curious.
Yeah.
And I'm glad to say that I think we definitely enjoyed this movie. Yeah. I don't think it's like the greatest thing, but I think it's a solid, good movie.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen dozens of movies like this over the years. It's nothing
It's pretty straightforward.
It is. It's very straightforward. I think the real like issue is the interviews and the way it's being talked about, and
because it's a very serious, heavy subject that the movie does take serious.
And I think they did a good job for the most part, portraying this issue in the film. And I feel like what's really messed up is actress like Blake Lively not taking it seriously. It was just inappropriate. I just
just not taking the subject seriously.
And I'm just like,
like, you produced this movie, you got to take the subject matter seriously.
And then a lot of people are just like, well, she's not a therapist, so she's just an actress. It's just like, that's not the point, and that doesn't matter. No one's saying that. It's just like, you do this work that a lot of people are going to connect with, and you can't find the time to say a few kind words, or thank you for I hope the movie did something for you. That's all you got to say. Even if you don't fucking mean an act, you're a fucking actress. Like, I really just don't like her behavior.
Look, there's lots of movies that is just pure entertainment, and that's fine, but there's also a lot of movies and shows that, yes, it's entertainment, but it's also trying to reflect a message back and trying to tell you something about life, whether it's something very personal, global, political, whatever. That's what this movie does. It's not just here to entertain and thrill you. It's supposed to be something cathartic and something that people can process, whether they've experienced this domestic violence or not. So it behooves the actors and everyone involved to honestly promote what this movie is, and not make light of the situation and the themes that it's tackling. Were you able to like be immersed in the movie despite knowing that the lead is kind of in some deep shit right now?
I was just like, look at Blake being so Serena being like, I don't know, it's so weird. Like, she's not an awful actress.
She was actually good in this movie.
She's good.
But I also could see anybody else taking this role. I mean, she did fine, but she wasn't like amazing. Yeah,
she wasn't amazing, and I don't know, I've seen this character from her before. Like, she's literally, I don't know, I was indifferent to like her, and I was trying to like not be so hung up on the interviews and the things that we're hearing, and I think I did that for the most part.
Yeah, I totally forgot about the real world stuff.
It was still distracting for me, because like I kept like, I mean, they acted and they edit all that stuff. I'm just like, how are Blake and Justin doing in scenes together? Like, what does that look like? How does that work? What are they thinking?
Because
like,
there was also drama with them. They were completely separate from each other from the promotions
he directed,
and stuff.
She co-directed too, basically, right?
I think so. I think she's like producer. She directed some stuff.
She did some stuff, and then they're acting opposite each other, and then they have this drama. So I had to like really
That's interesting.
I had to try really hard to like put that out of my head and just like see what they came up with, what they created, what they adapted. And I liked it. I enjoyed it. It seemed like people were enjoying.
There was people in the crowd really passionate. I don't know if you saw when we got up out of our seats after the movie ended. There was a group of girls behind me, and one girl was like bawling her eyes out.
Oh wow!
She looked like she got injured.
Oh damn!
and her friends holding her head and shit.
Oh wow!
And it looked like she loved that movie.
Oh, okay, good for her. Yeah.
I think people were enjoying it for the most part.
Yeah, I did definitely sound. There was a lot of reactions. We were giggling and snickering.
I was giggling at some of the things that weren't supposed to be funny, and I was restricting myself. I could have gone all out.
Yeah, no, I know you could have. He could have. No, I was doing a lot of eye roll and teeth sucking because I was just like,
there's some stereotypical things that happen. There's some cliches.
There are. So it's fun that way, but it's still I think it still sends a message, or shows what it is to be in a relationship like that, where
the guy doesn't look like an obvious Hollywood villain. He could be like any guy off the street.
Justin did a good job because there was just like little things, and they just like added up, and I like to say like he pulled a Homelander, like just a little tweak of the face or a vein bulging here, and I think he did a good job because I was just like I gotta pull up my little flags, my red flags, and be like, that it,
Yeah.
So he did a really good job. I liked the younger actors that. I think they did so good.
Yeah, the ones that played the teenage version of Lily and
I don't know their names,
and Atlas.
Yeah, Lily and Atlas. I felt more of that.
It was like a second movie concurrently happening with the one that we were watching, and it didn't feel distracting. I actually appreciated.
Yeah.
See, that's how you do flashbacks, folks. That's actually a good example of flashbacks. I wasn't expecting flashbacks, and I wasn't expecting to actually be invested in the flashback story.
I was very invested.
Yeah.
It was good. It was good to see the flashback of her first love, and then they tie in her mom, her parents, because the movie starts with her going back home for her dad's funeral. You see her mom's like a little like hovering,
fucking manic.
And I was like, understandable. Her husband died. She's alone. Her daughter's back. That whole thing. And she keeps talking to her. And she's like, "What are you gonna say? Did you write your speech?
Write your eulogy.
Your eulogy, yeah.
Just 5 things. 5 things you love about this man."
She has a napkin. 1 through 5 ain't nothing listed, and I'm just like, well, what's up with that? Like, what was the relationship with her dad? And those flashbacks.
They give us information.
Give us the information that we need.
But let's talk about like the initial meeting with Ryle and
Lily.
Yes, Lily.
Her name is Lily Blossom Bloom.
Stupidest fucking name ever. And they, even though they made a joke about it, I was still just like, come the fuck on.
Yeah.
Like, is there anybody that white that does that?
I mean, it's for the book. A movie wouldn't do that. A book would definitely do that. I've read books
Yeah, it was crazy. How did you feel about the initial meet with these two characters? Did you buy into their chemistry? Do you think they had chemistry? Was there at least more chemistry between them than the Crow?
Their chemistry was okay, but like I said, right off the bat, I was waving my red flags for him.
What did you find?
Well, he comes. She's sitting on the roof. She doesn't even live in the building. She just breaks into the building to go sit on a roof.
That is literally what she did.
Yeah, and so he comes out angry, kicks the shit out of a chair. I'm like, all right, what the hell?
That was my first red flag. So I'm like, I mean, he could be going through a loss or some shit, but I'm like, that's your introduction? Is it you burst through the door and you kicking shit and you screaming?
And then she's sitting like on the edge or whatever, not like dangling, just sitting there, thinking. And then he tells her like, "Can you get down from the edge?
You're making me nervous.
You're making me nervous." And she's just like,
"That was
no."
kind of wild.
She's like, "I'm good." And she's like, "I'm not." She's like, "I'm not gonna do anything." Yeah. And he's just like, "No, really, just like do it." And then I was just like, another red flag.
That was within like the first 2 minutes of them meeting.
And then I was just like, what? So then he goes over, sits down, then he dangles his legs over the edge. I was like, okay, whatever. So like those were instantly like the two things, and I didn't like him like right off the bat, and I don't know if it's because like you already know that he's supposed to be the one. You know? But I didn't like it. I didn't like him at all, and there were times like I know getting ahead, but there were times where he would like almost play a victim. Like he has trauma. He has things that he needs to deal with and seek help for. He definitely does. But he played victim a lot, and I didn't like that. There were these small things he would say or do or act, and I was not buying any of it. And I was just like, I'm not buying it. And I'm just like, here's another red flag, sir. Like, I don't care. So this first scene, I was just like, this is very lusty. Like, they clearly like
are horny for each other. But
that's what it is. But I think even throughout their whole relationship,
you didn't feel like you were rooting for them?
I was not rooting for them at all. I didn't buy it. It just felt like she was just going along with it. I don't know. That's how I felt like that the character was written, to just like
be passive.
It's not there because like she has her first love.
Yeah.
She hasn't spoken to him in years, doesn't know where he is. Like they chance meet again, and that's a surprise to her. But she has the tattoo on her collarbone.
That symbolizes their high school love.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it's like she's always thinking about him. Whenever she catches the tattoo in the mirror,
she holds like the little wooden heart craving at the beginning of the movie.
For her. Yeah. So it's just like,
when she goes back home.
She never let go of that. So it was kind of hard for me to root for her new relationship, regardless of how Ryle was with her. It was hard for me to root for it or enjoy it, because I was just like, you ain't being honest with yourself, girl. You need to go out there and find your man.
Yeah.
You need to, that's how I felt. So it was lusty. It was Justin Baldoni looks good. He looks good. You know, he's always, since Jane the Virgin, he's looked good, and he keeps getting better looking. So I was just like,
he looks gooder every day.
Gooder. Yeah. So what did you think about their?
I really liked their setup. I did think there was just enough chemistry for me to be like, all right, I buy into them being attracted to each other. And I also did like the initial conflict of like, well, Lily wants a relationship and he just wants to hook up.
Yeah.
I'm surprised they didn't delve more into that. I feel like once he finally decides he wants to date her, it just goes smooth sailing in terms of that. Like there's no instances of him wanting to like cheat on her or anything, but I guess that's not like part of the main plot. But yeah, I too was noticing like the early red flags, like you mentioned, his outburst with anger was kind of like gray area for me, because it's like he's really dealing with something that triggers him. He mentioned that he dealt with a child that he couldn't save due to like, I think it was a gunshot wound.
Yeah.
Just like exactly what he was going through with his childhood, which we'll touch on later. But then like you mentioned, he's already controlling of this woman that he doesn't even know, talking about like, get up off that ledge, girl.
Yeah.
And and then later on when they are getting to know each other more, he is very pushy, like trying to like and like just constantly like instigating her to be like, you need to like let me kiss you right now. I know we said that we're friends, but I just want to hook up with you.
Yeah.
And it's just like he's being very charismatic, but also like he's clearly not taking no for an answer, and that's
and it's clear for his character that no woman said no to him, like up until now. Really, they just, it seems like he's only hooking up with women, so it's just like she's not like, and she tells him clearly like, I'm a relationship type of girl, like I want to be serious, I'm not looking for that. And he's just, the whole time it just felt like he's trying to win her, like she's a prize, and that's it. That's all it ever felt.
It's that typical thing that a lot of men feel like they have to do, especially when they see something in movies where it's just like, oh, I just gotta try harder, and then she'll like me, and then she'll want me. And it's just like, first of all, you could have fixed that by saying much sooner that you would be open to dating her, not just hooking up with her. Like she expressed interest, but in a romance context. So you're not even listening to that part until like way later. And then like he's like very pushy with her, like the scene at the sister's birthday party where he's just like, would you shut up for 5 seconds and let me talk? And
but it wasn't like
it wasn't violent. It was just like,
no, it was for me. You didn't feel that? Like
kind of.
I flinched a little bit. I was just like, excuse me? Like, what? Because there's like a way to like say it, but because she was talking and talking, and she kept saying stuff, and you could tell he was just getting like
a little annoyed.
And then I was just like, whoa,
yeah,
another red flag.
Yeah. And then him officially asking her out in front of Alyssa, the sister character, is just like, now you're just adding pressure to somebody to like give you an answer. That's like, he's doing all these little manipulative things. And I think I appreciated them setting that up very early on, because I feel like that's typically what happens when somebody starts entering a relationship with somebody who is abusive. Like, there's little things that maybe you might not notice right off the bat, but when you reflect, it's like, holy shit.
Yeah.
Like, even just those little things were problematic, and it just builds up and up and up. So I appreciated the setup where there was like a physical chemistry, but like, I think like you mentioned, I wasn't really rooting for the relationship, mainly because we know what the premise is. We know that she's about to like go through some shit with him. But also like they kind of alert you pretty quickly that this guy is not altogether what he seems.
Yeah.
The flashbacks, you mentioned the flashbacks. That might have been probably like the best parts of the movies.
Yeah.
Like I felt like I could watch like a spin-off movie on Netflix or something. Because the high school story is really endearing. I actually like that young Lily was like this really caring person who saw this homeless kid across the yard and went out of her way to like feed him and like watch over him. And it's just like, you don't really get to see that many stories often of like homeless people being humanized. And I liked his story too. Like, the Atlas character is like going through shit at his house where there's also abuse.
Yeah.
So he's hiding out in this dingy little like house, and then a romance blossoms from that. I thought that was really nice. I think I'm trying to think if the movie would work without the flashbacks, and I don't know, because I think that's a good example of showing rather than telling, like, oh, like I had this boyfriend back in high school that I really cared about. I feel like if you didn't have the flashbacks, you wouldn't buy into the drama that builds up later when Lily reconnects with Atlas as adults.
Because I feel like for me, you have to like see Atlas as a child. Like, I don't want him to just be like this savior man from her past that just pops up.
Yeah, which he basically is.
Yeah, but we're looking for him too. Like, I felt like I was looking for him as well too. I was waiting for him to show up and how he was going to show up.
I actually didn't think he was going to show up.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that went over my head.
I was looking for Atlas too. Like, I was hoping.
I had no idea he would show up.
Yeah, so when she goes to the restaurant to meet her mom and she brings Raul and he's there, I was just like, you really gonna just act like you don't know him? But then I was like, makes sense, because it's funny with her relationship with Raul, we don't see all the little like things that he's like doing to like show that he's controlling, abusive. Like, there's things he says, like when he, like tells her to read something or no, do this or say this or whatever. There's like small things that you wouldn't think about, and it's just like you said, there's a time skip. It made me wonder, between now and what they didn't show us,
were there more incidents
that build up to this one? But I was just like, you really gonna act like you don't know him? Like, you guys clearly know each other. And he just went along with it, and then she's like, I'm gonna go to the bathroom, and then they run into each other. I was just like, oh my god, this is him. Like, how is he gonna play into the story? How is it gonna work? And they really like accelerate it.
Like, it goes to 11 in 10 minutes.
And I was just like, oh wow, because they go back to the restaurant again with his sister and her husband, and that's when it gets big. But I just really felt like the flashback scenes with Atlas were really important, because I wouldn't want him to just show up and I just have to have heard about him. I felt like
seeing it made it more effective.
It felt like good to see him from when he first was introduced, and to know that he was there, and to know that, I don't want to say that he would save her, because he didn't really do that. He was more of like, he's like, I'm here.
Yeah, I'm here if you need me.
I'm here if you need me. And I like that he wasn't like pushy. He was just like, well, I'm going to get you away from this man and you're going to be my woman now.
Well, that's not fully true.
Really?
Yeah, we'll get to that in a bit. You'll understand why. So before the next interaction at the restaurant with Atlas, there is the first domestic abuse situation that happens that we see with Lily and Ryle. I almost called him Raphael. And that's when his stupid ass is like letting something bake in the oven, lets it cook too long. He tries to pick up the fucking tray barehanded like a dumb fuck.
I'm like, you're a surgeon.
Yeah. And then just backhands the shit out of Lily in the face.
I was so confused. I was like, how did this even happen? Why is she flying over here? Like, what do you... I couldn't understand that.
So then she has a black eye, and they make amends for that. There's like, she's easily getting into PTSD moments where she's getting flashbacks of her father beating on her mom. But they make up, and then when they go to the restaurant again, we see that Atlas notices the black eye on Lily, and then the bandages on Ryle's hand. And then he quickly gets triggered. Like, he's over here starting a conversation with one of her friends and then just instantly starts walking away mid-conversation when he notices the injuries. And then this dude confronts Lily in the woman's bathroom. Like, he just invades her space, talking about, like, you need to leave this man. Like, I know what that black guy is.
Yeah.
Like, he hurt you, didn't he? And I was just like, whoa, buddy. It's like, we've only known you for 5 minutes, and you're over here trying to you're just trying to save her. You're over here jumping to conclusions, and you're just barging into a place that you don't belong in. Like, you just followed her into the women's bathroom. That's really creepy and very aggressive.
It is.
And then not long after that, he's punching on this dude Ryle in the face. Like, that is the one time where he immediately goes way out of bounds. He's trying to be a Captain Save-A-Ho.
He does, and I feel like it's also because he has trauma too.
Yeah.
It's not okay.
It doesn't excuse what he did.
It doesn't excuse what he did, but it makes sense.
But it explains
It explains why he reacted the way that he did. They haven't seen each other for years. I feel like their last interaction was when Lily's dad beat the shit out of him and sent him on his way in the ambulance.
Yeah.
And then that's the last they've seen of each other.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just like, I feel like they were kind of like, at least their relationship or what they know of each other is frozen in that time.
Mm-hmm.
Lily and Atlas.
Mm-hmm.
And it's kind of like, I felt like they were kind of just picking up where they left off.
Yeah.
In a way. I don't know if that makes sense, but I feel like they were just picking up where they left off with knowing each other. And there's been so much that's happened between that moment and, you know, the moment that they're in now.
Mm-hmm.
I get what you're saying, but I also felt like it makes sense, and it wasn't like, I wasn't like, what the hell? Like, you know, I wasn't like, this is...
I mean, I understood his behavior, but he did something very wrong. He played the role of, like, I'm going to be the man that saves her. Mm-hmm. Like, he started off that way, and then he gradually started backing off.
Yeah, because then some time after that incident, like, passed, and he was going to reach out to her, like, the very next day, he said. Mm. But, you know, Ryle was around. He's like, I didn't think that.
I didn't want to have to piece him up again, you know? And show him.
Yeah. So I just...
Compton.
Oh, okay. Yeah, relax. I see what you're saying. In that moment he was, but...
He gets better afterwards.
He's able to take a step back. Yeah. And change, unlike Ryle. Yeah. Like, he's able to, like, really see the situation for what it is.
But I don't know. I feel like he still kind of oversteps his bounds again, because when he goes back to the flower shop eventually and gives Lily his number, I feel like you could have done that better. You could have literally you have a cell phone right there. Just put in your phone number in there. I think he puts like this whole little card, puts it in the phone case.
I think it was because if his number's saved in her phone, like, it's clear Ryle's an abuser. Yeah. Who's to say he's not going through her stuff? Who's to say, like, you know, he won't see a text message or a phone call or anything like that and then flip out and hurt her? And I think that's why he was just like, is this your phone? And he puts it in the back of the phone case. So it's just like...
I mean, he still ended up doing that anyway.
I know. But, like...
That's what makes me question, was it even right for Atlas to do something like that? To be, like, still trying to insert himself into her life, knowing that she's in a very sensitive situation... I don't know. It felt like, yes, he wanted to protect her, but it's also like you could also tell he wanted to move in on her and sweep her away from this guy.
I didn't get that vibe.
I definitely got that.
I mean, there's clearly still love. She loves him. She never stopped loving him. We can only assume that's the same, that it is for him as well, too. But I didn't feel like he was trying to, like, you know, sweep in and take her and all that stuff. Like, it's clear he probably wants that. Like, he hopes for that. He lies about having a girlfriend when they first meet up.
See, again. That's more reason for me to think like this. He was sweeping in on her because now you even lying about a fucking Cassie. Ain't no Cassie.
I feel like he lied because she's just like, oh yeah, that's my boyfriend, and she's like, do you have some? Because she was fishing. She's like, are you girlfriend, married, kids, life? What's?
See, they were fishing for each other.
She's like, can I be your woman? Like, she was doing the same thing too. And
I agree.
I felt like he's just like, yeah, I have someone, just so it wasn't like, I'm here pining for you, or, oh, there's an opening. So it's just like they were both playing that game. So I felt like the card in the phone was a way to give her a lifeline, because he didn't say, give me your number, put your number in my phone or anything like that. He didn't do that. He's just like, here's my number. If you need anything, like if you need anything,
if you
it's
need
just like
this,
yeah, it's just like if
this.
if you find yourself in a situation, that's all it was. I didn't read any more into it. I didn't see, because he can't reach out to her. He doesn't have her phone number. It'd be one thing if they swap numbers, but he doesn't have her phone number.
You could still slide in.
He could still, yes, I know. Insta blammies and the Facebooks.
No, I'm saying even just passing along your number like that,
Yeah.
that's still a move. That's still like.
Yeah, I don't think he was I think it was like.
I think it was both.
Really?
I think it was both.
I don't. What do you guys think? I don't think Alvin's wrong.
And then this is when Lily gets really fucking stupid, like. And I think it's the script. It's not like the character. I feel like the character would be smarter than this. But she keeps that card with the phone number in her phone case for like a year, basically. Because during this time, a whole baby is born.
Oh, yeah.
With
and then
Alyssa's
they
baby.
married.
Yeah, they do the proposal.
I'm sorry, but Ryle's sister Alyssa has her baby. They're in the hospital to see
I
the
wanted to
baby.
talk about that.
And he takes their moment by proposing to Lily. Because, like, the sister and her husband were just like, oh, yeah, you guys should have babies next, or when are you... Something like that. You know how
And then
do
Ryle
that.
had to be like, well, only if she wants to marry me. Oh, ho, ho.
Yeah, and then they were just like, is that a proposal? Ha, ha, ha. No, it's not. And then he's like, oh, yes, it is. Down on one knee with his niece or whatever. I don't know if it was
No ring.
No
just
ring.
Just a niece.
Just a niece, and then... Lily's just like, well, give these people back their baby real quick. And then and I was just like, wait,
I was going to ask if this was proper etiquette, but you're clearly saying this is wrong.
Don't. A baby was just born. You're there to see the baby and the new parents. And then you just going to be like, let me one-up you. I'm proposing. And we're going to have our own baby someday.
I agree on that. Because this just feels like the equivalent of proposing at somebody's wedding.
Yes. I mean, unless you ask the couple if it's okay.
And get their blessing.
Yeah. Then do it. But don't just be...
assuming that this is the right time. It's just like, this woman is exhausted. She pushed this baby out. She needs some applesauce and water or some shit. She's about to faint, and you're over here being like, Lily, will you marry me?
Yeah,
right after a baby is born.
That
was
annoyed
funny.
me, and I was just like, is this another one of his things? Because I'm just like, I really don't like this character, but you just took this moment.
Yeah.
I mean, his sister seemed fine
unless the
with it,
baby coughs up the ring, that would have been a really cool magical moment. I think that's like a middle ground. I think that would have worked.
Anyways, I didn't like that he stole their moment like that. But they
typical
get married.
Ryle.
Yeah, typical Ryle.
Has to control the situation.
Yeah, and it just, I don't know, it didn't feel genuine. Like, I felt like he was just like doing it to do it, like just more like
I gotta move up on status.
Yeah, just like
Make
more
control
official. Of her, keeping her. And then the thing with the phone happens where she's just like, oh, can you charge my phone? He supposedly drops the phone. She goes into the room, the lamp's broken on the floor, and she's just like, what's going on? And he's just like, I dropped your phone and your case fell off. I was like, what are the chances her case fell off? Because I've dropped my phone a lot of times and my case is still on there.
What are the chances that you have the same exact case and the same fucking card in there for like 9 months?
Because I have like 15 phone cases and like...
That's a stupid small detail, but it stood out to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then I think he's justifiably upset because you've got another man's phone saved in your case. That shit looks wrong. Now, breaking vases and shit, that's too far. Like, you can express your anger in a more healthy way. Because I think stuff like throwing things and breaking things, that still counts as abuse, even if you're not hitting the person. You are intimidating that person and you're making them feel like shit. That could be me.
Yeah.
If they don't control themselves. So I was understanding of his anger and him being like upset and hurt. That's fine. But then as soon as he crashed the vase, I was just like, oh, here we fucking go.
Yeah.
You're going too far.
Yeah, and she just, I don't know, I feel like she wasn't convincing enough that it was nothing, because he was just...
She was not. Every time we go to this man, Atlas, she just cannot say, no, I don't care about this man.
Yeah.
He's nothing to me.
And I'm just like, he can mean something to you from your past, but ultimately...
That's like a fond memory, not someone who's like a competitor.
You don't know him, and I'm just like, so much time has passed, because they were like, what, 17? I have to assume they're around like 27, 28, almost 30. Now it's been almost 10 years it's passed, and you have these memories, but you don't technically know each other. Like, a lot has changed for you guys between the time you first met and now meeting up again. So I just felt like, as wrong as Raul is, if he's just like, I feel like you have feelings for this guy, her response should honestly be like, I don't know, like, I think about him and I still loved him, but like, you ultimately don't know him, and he doesn't know you. Yeah, it's a memory. But she didn't convince me at all. She's like, it's nothing. It's just like, she didn't even take it and rip it up and be like, it's nothing. Yeah, it was just like, come on, then, like,
there's like this disturbing scene that happens where Ryle looks like he's about to just turn into the Hulk. He's like pacing around the room. He's trying to get away from her because he looks like he's self-aware that he's probably going to hurt her again. So he's walking away to like get distance from her. And then when she catches up with him, we see that she falls down some stairs, and it's filmed in a way where it's obscured. We don't know what happened, if he pushed her down or if she tripped.
Yeah. Because it looked like he reached out to grab her. Yeah. But when they show the scene later in the film,
when she's reflecting after the final attack she experiences, we see that he actually did in fact push her down.
Yeah, his arms were out not to catch her, but I was just like, oh shit. I mean, like, we kind of knew, but we didn't see it. And then
they obscured it for a
You
reason.
asked me, you were just like, did he push her? And I was just like, they're going to have to roll this back. Because I was just like...
I did ask... Yeah, because I'd straight up asked you in the theater. I'm like, the way this is filmed, they don't want us to know right off the bat, but it looked like an accident to me.
Yeah.
And then when they played back that same thing again from her full unclouded perspective, we see that he did shove her down there, which answers your question, which was why didn't he take her to the hospital? Her head's bleeding, and
he is a neurosurgeon, and
I'm a doctor. I can do this.
Yeah, I'm so mad. I kept saying that. I kept turning to you. I'm just like, you're not going to take her to the hospital? Is anybody...
It's like, babe, it's okay. He's a neurosurgeon.
No, I was so mad. You picked up this woman and just brought her back in the house.
Because even a doctor would know, like, we should still take you for a checkup because you hit your head. That could be skull fracture.
And you're a neurosurgeon.
Yeah. And it honestly, it made me think of a very recent incident with the whole Jonathan Majors incident, where we learned through text that he tried to stop his girlfriend from going to the hospital after an incident of her getting hit on the head. That's the same sort of behavior that Ryle was sort of exhibiting. It's like, you work at the fucking medical field. You know that the standard to go to the hospital for a fall like this. Yeah. Like, you may be cleaning her up, but you don't know what internal damage there is, and you just didn't want to get reported. Yeah. Like, that's ultimately what that whole thing was about. So it's just, at this point, it's like really building up before we get to that final attack that he does, which is very disturbing, probably the most disturbing one. Yeah. And the way I appreciate the way that this movie approaches when these attacks happen, because it can happen suddenly, or it could happen during a moment where you think you're having a casual conversation with your partner, and then suddenly they bring something up that they've really been wanting to talk about, and then it suddenly gets violent. Yeah. Because at this point we're seeing how, like, she's reading like the magazine where like her business is doing really well. It's like being ranked in the top 10 places in Boston. But then we see when Ryle gets in, he's all friendly and nice at first, congratulating her on like her spot on the magazine. But then he goes ahead and makes her read the number one spot, which is the restaurant that Atlas owns. Yeah. And then makes her read the explanation of the backstory, which is connected to their relationship in high school. And then he asks again, so what's that tattoo for?
I know. And I was just like... He asked me about the tattoo, and... it made me so uncomfortable. And she was just like... She kept saying that she doesn't want to read it, or that's it, she's done. And he's like, no, keep reading. And he just...
Yeah, you see the controllingness coming back harder and harder.
Oh, man. Yeah, that made me really uncomfortable. I think they did a really good job, like, with that scene. Yeah.
First of all, do you think Ryle was justified in being upset in reading that? Like, just discount the whole abuse part. Just if he was regular upset, like if he came up to Lillian and was just like, hey, I read this about the restaurant, and I know you guys had a past, but it's bothering me. Like, do you think there's a valid reason for him to be bothered by that explanation?
You know what? As much as I made fun of him, I'm gonna go back to past lives. Is that?
Oh yeah.
And the husband that she had. Mm-hmm. Ryle would need to be like that. He would need to understand that, yes, she had someone she cared about. They had something.
It's no longer a thing.
It's no longer a thing.
Yeah. But they have fond memories.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, it's a lot. It's major. And I'm a little insecure about it.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm not going to lash out and give her reason or give him reason, you know, give my partner reason to feel like, you know, I'm not here for them. We're not now. We have our own story.
Yeah.
Anybody would be intimidated by something like that. It sounds like a major...
Dedicate a whole restaurant to my wife.
Yeah. But it's just like...
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you'd be justified in feeling uncomfortable or upset about it. It's just a matter of how do you express that?
How do you express that? And is
obviously violence is not the right way, but like,
and
how would you talk about it?
Secure enough, and is your partner reassuring you and reassured in your relationship? Then it won't matter.
Yeah.
You know, it's not like everyone has like a past, whatever it is. I mean, she got a whole restaurant for the past they had, but it's just. Yeah, there's a way for... I feel like it'd be okay for him to be a little upset or intimidated by it, but it's all about how he's going to react going forward.
And he does not react healthy at all.
Yeah.
He attempts to basically assault her and force himself on her because this is his way of, like, again, exerting control. It's not like, oh, like, I just want to have sex with you. It was like, no, let me remind you that I'm your husband.
You the most.
Yeah. It's my love that matters, not this guy from high school.
Yeah.
And it's really horrifying. And I think it really perfectly highlights what assault is. Like, at the end of the day, it's a hunger for, like, power over somebody. And that's basically what his version of love is. Like, he may not be fully aware of why he's doing this, but that's at the root of it. Is like, he wants to control everything.
Yeah.
Because as we learn later on with his past trauma, that was a moment where he didn't really have control of a situation because he was just a child. And here it's like he's trying to reassert his control because he wants to make sure that nothing goes wrong in his relationship. Mm-hmm. And the way that they filmed that was, I think they did it very tastefully. Like he doesn't succeed in it, but just the act of like trying to attempt to do that and her breaking away was like, I think it was very horrifying.
Yeah.
It was horrifying enough without it being like gratuitous, without actually having to see the act happen and then further like really damage her. I mean, this act alone will damage her, but at the very least, he wasn't able to succeed with that.
Yeah.
And I feel like any other movie, for the most part, would have gone ahead and done like the edgier thing. And I appreciate that they were more tactful about how they executed that scene.
Because it's pretty obvious
what he's trying
to do.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm glad for that as well too. I think they filmed that very well, and I was just like, I was stressed. I was.
Oh yeah. I could feel the tension in the audience. Like people were no longer like chattering with each other and giggling and stuff.
I was just like, is this really gonna happen? Is he really gonna do this next to her? Like, it's really bad. And the build up, because like this is like the worst one. I mean, it's all bad, but you have the first incident where it looked like a complete total accident with the backhanding. And then you have the stairs. The stairs was it for me, but they just like they took it up a notch, because it's just like every time she has like these flashbacks moments where she's just like in disbelief that this is happening. Yeah. And then she goes back to when she was young and seeing her mother be abused. Mm-hmm. And like you felt all that. I think those moments were really, really good. And it just sucks that, I don't know if she did bring it up that, you know, her dad used to abuse her mom to Ryle. Yeah. It kind of was just like, he's like, oh, I'm sorry. Like, you know, like, you know, it's whatever. But I mean, obviously he's an abuser as well too. So he's not going to like take it serious or think about it. But it just really sucks that every time these things happen to her, she has to go back to her past. Like, not only is she being traumatized right now, but she already has the trauma, and it goes straight back to there. And I wonder, like, what's going on in her mind where she's just like, is this really happening to me? Am I letting this happen to me? I should know not to let this happen to me. Like, I hate my dad, and I didn't even go to see him die. I couldn't say anything at his funeral, but this is also happening. So it's just like, I think Blake did like a really good job of like all those things going through her mind, through Lily's mind. I think all that was portrayed right there, because I'm just like, I felt like she was just thinking all these things, like, is this real? Is this happening? do I block it out? Do I just say it's okay? Like, what do I do?
And I think that's a really crucial moment in the movie because it shows something that a lot of people may not remember to do when they're in situations like that, which is self-reflecting on your patterns and your behaviors and why these things keep happening to you. Not to say that you have to blame yourself that you're stuck in this situation, but it really helps to look back on like, why do I keep running into these men that like harm me, or these even women, because men also go through the same thing. Yeah. It's like, first of all, it's extremely hard to get out of a situation like that. I think they showcase that fairly well here. But I think the fact that we have like the flashbacks and her kind of looking back on the incidents that happened to her, I feel like that's like the movie trying to like show us to like basically remind us that we have to be self-reflective of the things that we're going through and how we may have missed things or allowed things to happen, and how we shouldn't allow that to happen further, and how we can try to break those cycles, which is what this movie's the whole premise is about. Yeah, is breaking a cycle.
Because later in the movie, she asks her mom, like, why did you never leave? And her mom's just like, it would have been more difficult to leave. Try to leave.
And I also loved him. And I think I would have liked that a little more like explanation of what she said, but I think it encapsulates basically what the main issue is with abusive relationships. It's like you can't just easily walk away.
Yeah, and like you just said, like it's a lot. She says it would have been more difficult to leave. That could mean so many different things for so many different reasons as to why it would be difficult.
And it's all true.
And it's all true. And I feel like it's different for every person in a situation like that. And I want to say Lily's situation's different from her mom. It's still domestic violence, but it's completely different. Yeah. You know? And I felt like it for her, she's like her own woman, younger. It's going to be different. She wants to break the cycle. She just wasn't sure how, or didn't even realize she let herself get in, you know, so far where she couldn't let herself see what was really happening. Yeah. But I feel like it was always in the back of her mind to like really make sure she broke that cycle. But it's also hard because she loved Ryle. I felt like that's there. As much as I don't want to admit it, she loved him. Yeah. And there's love for him, but then especially because she can see that he has trauma too. Where early in the film, Ryle and Alyssa mentioned that they had a brother.
Yeah, an older
brother who died in an accident. That Ryle was there. So he has things going on as well too, and it helps her understand him better, but it just doesn't make it right. And she knows that they don't work together, and he needs help.
Which I appreciated. They had that one scene where Lily has that conversation with Alyssa, where she's trying to learn about how Ryle ended up this way by asking about the brother, and then Alyssa revealing how Ryle accidentally killed the older brother by playing with a loaded gun. Yeah, and how that just. From there, it just warped him, and the fact that even Alyssa couldn't catch on to like his patterns of like abuse with other people. I really appreciated that they had that scene, because a lot of movies don't take the time to have a character who's attached to the person that's doing the abusing having an actual honest conversation about like, I have so many mixed feelings. Like, I really want you to like forgive this man, but I'm telling you right now, if you take him back, like I'll
never talk to you again.
Yeah, which I really appreciate
that too, because usually it's always like the family member of the abuser
just blindly defending, which I've seen so many times, even in real life. Yes. I've seen family members defend the abuser just because that's their son, that's their brother, that's their cousin, and it's just like. This is such a very simple, uncomplicated scene, but it works so effectively because we don't get that many moments like that in movies that deal with this sort of subject matter. Like, I think it's super important to show that it's normal to hold anybody accountable, no matter who the loved one is. If they've done something that horrendous, I think it's in your best interest to tell the person, like, listen, I know he's my brother. I love him to death. He did something really wrong to you, and you got to do what's best for you. Yeah. I'm still going to be here for you.
Yeah, I really like that they did that, because I thought her character was like a little like out there, annoying, and
she's kind of spazzy, but she's wholesome.
She's very wholesome, and serious where it's necessary and where it counts. Yeah. And this moment was good. I was worried listening to this part of the movie in their conversation, because I was just like, is she gonna side with her brother? Yeah. And when she didn't, I felt like so relieved, and I was just like, this is like a fresh of breath air.
It really is.
Yeah, I was just like, this is good to see a character like this.
Yeah.
Know like right from wrong and just see it as it is. And I really appreciate her saying like, I will never talk to you again if you take him back.
Yeah.
But like, she's still here. So I thought that was good. And then this is all because there's a baby involved, because Lily's pregnant too, because that makes it even more difficult to walk away and to make the decision on whether or not she would keep the baby. Yeah, that was like really complicated.
Let's get into that. That's like the final piece of this movie. So we see at the end, towards the end of the movie, we see that Ryle is kind of back in Lily's life, but not as her partner. We see that they're putting a crib together, and basically it looks like they've had a conversation that we didn't get to see, where she was like, "Listen, I don't want you, but I need your help with this child. I'm keeping this child. I need you to be a part of this any way that I see fit." And I had mixed feelings about it. Like, it was really jarring to see Ryle just setting up the crib and just being in proximity of this woman and not having like security. Like, it was really bizarre. I kind of wish I saw what the conversation was like, because I think that's like a huge monumental decision to make, because he didn't just like physically harm you. Like, if it stopped at like the backhanding, then maybe I could be more comfortable with like letting him back in if there's been no other instances. But he did that, shoved her down the stairs, which I think is a step way too far at that point, where I'm just like, I have to keep you at a distance. But he also attempted to force himself on her, and I'm just like, that is a police report. Like, I if that was me, my immediate reaction would be, I need you behind bars. I need to think about my safety. Yeah. So I'm very curious to see what the conversation was like, trying to like get him to come help with the baby stuff and then just leave it at that.
Yeah. Because he was calling her like nonstop, texting, all that stuff. And I don't know what the time frame was, but clearly it's been months, because her bump grew and all that stuff, and they're putting together a crib. But that scene where he comes to the apartment to help her put the crib together, I just saw, I kept feeling like he was trying to like be like, oh, I'm small and sad and like, forgive me. Like, I felt like that's what he was doing. And I felt like she was wavering, and I was getting so annoyed. I was like, girl, don't do it.
Yeah, because when she asked him to feel the bump, I'm like, you don't got to do that.
Yeah.
Stop.
I know.
You stop right there.
It's just like, he doesn't deserve.
Because then right then and there, he was just like, can you come home with me? I'm like, bro, she gave you an inch and you took a mile.
Yeah,
Relax. You are so lucky you're not in jail right now.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Am I wrong for thinking he should just be in jail first before she decides anything like that? That's why I wish I saw the conversation first. Because what does that conversation look like?
They really didn't go into it. It was like after she talked to Alyssa's like, basically do what's best for you. So it seems like she's like, okay, she's going to do that. And she does it. We don't have the conversation at all. We just have to see like how this pregnancy goes. And I don't know. I would say yes, I would want him to, for her to have done that. But also, they're still married. Up until she gives birth to their daughter, and she wants a divorce, and then she says she wants a divorce. So I'm wondering if that whole time she was still debating whether or not she should go back with him. They're having a kid together. She finds out she's having a daughter, but I feel like as soon as she found out she was having a girl, that's what it's like everything. That's when it just all came into place. Like, exactly. I was just like, oh, shit. Okay, she has a daughter, and she basically used that when she gave birth to the daughter. He came and saw the baby, held the baby, and then she's just like, I want a divorce. And he's like, what? And he was all having a nice moment. She lubed him up first. First, she started off with, let's name the baby after your brother, Emerson. Let me lube you first before I really dig into you. Which I thought was interesting. That was a very interesting choice. I think that I appreciate the softness of this character wanting to do that for the father of her kid. Like, even though she knows she doesn't want to be with him anymore. It felt like a lesson, though, to him. And I'm just like, damn, you gotta have the whole baby, hope that it's a girl, and do this nice thing. And now it's named after your dead brother. And then, and it's just like, I don't know, it felt like, it wasn't planned, but it was just like, how did she get to this point where everything just fell into place perfectly? I kind of like that. It was nice of her to do that. Name's not a bad name. It's cute. Whatever. Yeah. And he appreciated it. And then that's when she's like, I want a divorce. And I was just like, And then he looked like he was like, what? And she's like, they're there. Like, literally.
I love how you laughed at that part, and then other people in the theater laughed afterwards. It did look kind of comical.
It was.
Like he's doing the single tear jerk, and she's just like, they're there.
Yeah.
And then you just bust out laughing,
she,
and
like,
then all
Queen
these other
Charlotte
people.
him like sorrows, prayers, sorrows, whatever. I was just like, damn. Yeah, and basically funny. She's just like, don't even suck them tears back up. And then she goes into she's like, this is your daughter. And
I like the question that she brings up.
Yeah.
How would you feel if your daughter came home and was telling you that she's being abused by her partner?
Yeah.
And
you could just see like it all like clicking and stuff, and like if her husband was doing this, he was just like, he said he would beg her to leave. And it's just like, okay, we're getting this divorce. So it's like we're getting this divorce. So that was a good moment. The whole thing with her being in the room after he left, and she's like holding the baby close. She's like, it ends with us. I was kind of like,
that was like one of the cliches that I was just like, come on, please. You didn't have to say. I would have liked it if they just smashed to black and then just have the title. I'm just like, be a little more like mindful and modern. Like she really just uttered the title. And I was just like, I just wanted to yell, that's the name of the movie.
What she said to Ryle there, that insinuates that it ends with them. Like, it ends with us. Like, I feel like that
you could have left it in there.
Yeah, but...
You could have just left it there, but you had to ruin the moment with some cheese.
Squeezing up the baby, and I'm like digging that chin into the baby's soft spot. I'm just like, y'all need to be careful. Yeah.
And then we see at the very end, she kind of makes peace with her dead father when she's visiting her dad's grave, and she still has that fucking blank note with the list of 5 things that she don't love about him. There's like nothing written on there.
Yeah.
I thought that was an interesting tie back after everything she's gone through, because I think that kind of symbolizes like, I can still have some sort of love for you or care for you and not accept all the parts of you. Like, I think it's perfectly okay for me. Like, I'm rejecting you because of how awful you've been. I know that you've been like my father or my husband, but you were not good to me.
Yeah.
And that has to be stated, and that has to be reinforced to the very end.
Yeah.
Because too many people have like this habit of like doing revisionist history when somebody dies. And if they've been very awful to you and you decide you just want to say kind things about them, I guess that's your choice, but you're also not being very honest with yourself. And I think there's just a lot of pressure from American society to be like, you have to say nice things about a dead person, and I've never been a believer of that. So I like that they have a little touch of like, she never goes on to write anything that she loves about her father, because I think that connects to like how she feels about Ryle, how it's like, yeah, you were there for me at one point, but you weren't good to me. And I'm not obligated to write down things that I like about you when you've been harmful. And I think that's perfectly okay. So I like that they had that little touch at the end. I wish they left it there, because then they do the stereotypical thing of her reconnecting with Atlas, and it's just like, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know. Did you like the teasing of Atlas and Lily getting together, or should she have stayed single?
No, I was waiting for it. It should have like.
That's like the one part of the movie where it's like you could tell that was coming.
That's coming. Yeah, I mean, she's been through so much. He's been through whatever he's been through. It was bound to happen. I guess I'm glad that fine. It didn't happen like throughout the whole film. Like,
if it happened during the whole turmoil, that would have been like, ugh, no.
Yeah, it's just like after
give it time.
Yeah, give it time. Let it breathe. Like I like that. It made it feel like it was really like her story to get through this situation in her life. It was her journey and hers like alone to deal with. And I feel like now she's at a place where she can reconnect with this person that she's been wanting to reconnect with for a while. And it won't be messy. I mean, the hospital will be messy because, and then she got the kid, and then Ryle, and then the whole drama from the past, and yada, yada, yada. But their relationship can start fresh and anew.
It can start off at a way better base than in some sort of unstable
than her
situation.
Still being married, or her being pregnant still. Or,
and still dealing with the abuse.
Exactly. So, I'm fine with it. If it was waiting for it to happen, and I was just like, where's Atlas? Like, we we divorced, and, where's Atlas?
Where's my Atlas? And that's I think that's all I have for this movie in terms of thoughts and reflections. So what would you give a rating?
I'm gonna give it a loaded potato,
Oh,
honestly,
wow.
because I enjoyed
Nice.
it. Blake Lively's bullshit aside, I enjoyed it. I really did. It was a good movie. There's nothing bad about it. It wasn't bland, boring. I can honestly say that I sat there and I laughed and I
We enjoyed ourselves.
Yeah, they did a lot of things in there where I connected to it. I felt something. And I think it's a good movie. I do. It's not like this great, amazing movie, but it's a good movie. I would give it a loaded potato.
Nice.
What about you?
I'm giving it a strong baked potato.
Okay.
Just below a loaded potato. Because I did enjoy this movie as well. I think it's a good movie. I don't think it's great. I feel like they could have explored other things that happen in the movie in a little more detail and depth. And I think that's what holds it back for me giving it a higher score. But this is a good movie.
Yeah.
And it was very entertaining and very engaging and mindful for me to watch. And it was a good time with the crowd too. I enjoyed like the crowd energy.
Yeah.
Like I think everybody had a decent time at this movie. So I think it's a strong baked potato for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So there we go. So you already know which movie you're gonna watch. So you're gonna watch this one. You're not gonna watch The Crow. It is what it is. But yeah, this was a fun discussion. I liked talking about these two movies. Guys, let us know your thoughts in the comments below. What did you think of either movie? Did you even watch any of these movies? Did you watch something else that we should watch? Recommend something for us to watch. I don't know. But yeah, leave us all your thoughts, your comments, your questions, your theories, your hate towards me for roasting Jujutsu Kaisen earlier. I don't know. Yeah. And thank you guys for watching and listening. We'll see you guys on the next one where we are going to talk about some anime.
Oh yes.
Let's go. Kaiju
Yes.
number 8 and Demon Slayer.
Kaiju.
Let's
yes,
go.
and Demon Slayer. Yes.
So we'll be excited to talk about that with you guys. And make sure to like and subscribe and hit the notification bell and do all that good stuff. Follow us on our social medias at The Most Potato as well. And yeah, thank you guys so much for listening and watching. And we'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.